What's up, Culture Drop? Galen here. This video is about assuming positive intent, and not just that it matters, but also how to do it. I think that's important, so that's what we're gonna be talking about. Oh, I love you, Mr. Frodo. I love you too, Samwise Gamgee. Have some of my lambus bread. Well, if you're not a nerd, that was extremely weird for you. All right, I'm gonna split this into two different parts. First, why is it important to assume positive intent? Secondly, how do you actually go about doing that? So, why? As a coworker, as a leader, as a colleague, as a friend, in a personal relationship, in a romantic relationship, assuming positive intent is really healthy. Assuming negative intent is a bad look. When you just assume that people are doing things for the worst possible reason and that they have it out for you, it's sort of like ego-driven, insecure behavior, and ultimately it damages relationships. It doesn't make you look good to have negative assumptions about other people. It also is just, it's harder to operate when you have a lack of trust, when you're assuming that like somebody's doing something because they don't like you, they're trying to be mean, they're intentionally like thwarting something you're doing. Not that that is never true, but assuming that it's true all the time, it's a bad look. And a lot of times that can be the thing that really drives relationships apart and creates silos between departments and work. Organizations are trying to fix and correct is like people assuming negative intent and trying to adopt this mindset and this behavior of let's assume positive intent on behalf of other people and go and clarify. So we know it's important. It is important to like assume positive intent, but also like how do you do it? I don't think that's something that's naturally very easy for a lot of people. So I want to talk about like tactically how do I do it and just like here are some tips for how to do that and how to navigate your life assuming positive intent. All right, so first, the time that this is necessary is when something happens. You receive a communication, somebody says something, somebody does something, they take an action or whatever, and you notice for yourself, you are assuming negative intent. You're assuming that somebody did something, they took you off of a project, or they didn't include you in this email or whatever, they said this thing because of some sort of like sinister intention behind it. So here's how I sort of approach those situations. I play out both extremes of the scenario. So in my mind, I just play out, okay, if this person did this, what is the most terrible reason that they would have done this thing or said this thing? It's because they hate me, because they don't like me, whatever. It's like play it out to be like, okay, here's the reasons why they did this thing and here's their intention, assuming the worst possible intent on that person. Just like play that out, be like, okay, cool. Here's one possible solution or one possible answer of why this person did this thing or said this thing. And then I also, in my mind, play out the best case scenario, assuming that this person had ultimately great intent, that they're doing it to help me, to protect me from something because they're trying to like just, I also play out like, okay, if this person had the absolute highest, best intentions that I would appreciate, what are reasons that they would have gone about doing this thing? Here's the worst case scenario of why they would have done that thing. Here's the best case scenario. And then what I do once I have both of those things kind of like in my brain, I suspend choosing that one of them is true. Till I can go and clarify and have a conversation with that person, I would just assume that this is the reason that they did this thing, because they wanted to help me, they have my back, just they're trying to make me look good, whatever it is. Even if that is hard for me as a stretch initially to imagine, that's what I just assume on behalf of the person. I think it's a much more healthy brain space for you to be in, to go through life, assuming that like other people's behaviors is not based on the fact that they're against you, they're trying to thwart you and like have sinister intentions towards you. Why not just assume the best case scenario until you can clarify with that person? At least in the meantime, until you can get a clear answer from them, it puts you in a positive headspace. Because when we assume negative intent, it's the thing that kind of spirals our brain to be like, they did this and this and that. And like, it just, our brains and our egos love sometimes that like really toxic, poisonous sort of narrative that we create that isn't true. And you don't know if it's true. Going into a situation being like, I don't know what the actual truth is, only this person does. I have to connect with them to like clear it up. Last thing I want to say about this that I think is helpful for having that conversation with this person that you're bringing it up to is something from Brene Brown that I love, that I use all the time, which is the phrase, the story that I'm telling myself is this. So when I'm sharing with this person, if I do think that they have a negative intent behind it or something, I will be like, the story I'm telling myself about this, about why you said that or why this happened is this, but I don't know if that's true. So can you clarify for me? I'm not coming in saying, I know this is true and I'm accusing you of this malintent. I'm just saying, this is the story that I've created for myself, but like, can you clear this up? Can we talk about this? Can you help me understand where you're coming from and why you did that thing so that I can sort of like, right? So we can move through this. Moving through the world this way, assuming positive intent on behalf of other people and like, going directly to the source when you're not and clearing it up with that person is good for your relationships. It's good for your reputation. It's also good for your like emotional and mental health of not just stewing in negativity that's unwarranted all the time. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Subscribe to our channel. We put a lot of content on here. You can also subscribe to the Culture Drop mailing list and get these emails in your inbox every Tuesday morning. Follow our social media channels. Put a lot of free content out about just being more awesome and building great teams.